Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, Standing Tall on Tuesdays. And I'm so happy to see you all. It's been a while, but I am back, and because I've been doing some things. But today's episode is very special because the Lord, because you guys know that this is a God-fearing, God-based YouTube channel. The Lord told me to interview this young lady to share her story. And I was like, okay, Jesus, okay, I'm gonna do it. And this is like 2 or 3 months ago, and I kept doing it. So then she called me, and I was like, all right, Lord, all right. She had this phenomenal and magical story to tell me. So he was like, well, if you won't go to the mountain will come to you. So this is why we're here. Thank you so much. So I want to introduce you to Lachyi Bland. Lachyi is an entrepreneur,
yes,
a woman of God who hears God and listens to Him. She's a servant, she's a leader, she's a believer, and she's an overcomer.
Oh, well, thank you.
And this is how we're going to begin with, because she truly is an overcomer. So, hey, Lachyi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. Now, I call you Shay, but for all intents and purposes, I'll call you Lachyi, whichever one you want me.
It's okay. I mean, most people, I feel like when they meet me, the first thing they do is shorten my name to Shay, and so I've become used to it. So whatever one works.
So fun fact for me, I told you that my name was Shay. My family friends from when I was young used to call me that. So I was like, okay, good. So Shay, what's the favorite fun fact about you that no one knows?
I think to me, I was really hard trying to figure that out. And then I would have to say that I am really a talker, and most people do not know that about me. And because when you first meet me, I'm very quiet, I'm very reserved, I'm really like fade into the background, won't say anything. And so that is something most people do not know about me. Once you get me on either something I really like or we become really close, I can be a talker. I really can.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's very true, because when I first met you, very quiet, reserved, all of that. And but now that I know you, of course, we talk about more things, serious things, deeper things. So yeah, that's very true. So you're a talker.
Yeah, most people wouldn't know that.
Okay. So how do we know each other?
So someone in church I was kind of around them. And that's kind of how we were in proximity to each other. And I remember that you had reached out to that person and told them to let me know that you were praying for me. And I remember that was the first encounter that we kind of had. And then it was just like, I would show up to Bible study and we'll be sitting near each other, or I show up to 4 a.m. prayer and we'll be sitting near each other. And we started talking that way. I don't think it was really any big event that really happened. We were just in proximity to each other.
And that's usually how it is with me, with the people that I know. I'll meet them through somebody else, or I'll pick them up.
That's what happened. You really picked me up.
And I was just like, what's going on? Where is she? Because I hadn't seen you for a while. But that's when you had been really heavy on me, and they told me that you had been traveling, and I was just like, oh, okay. But it was a little bit deeper than that. But I was just like, okay. So then when you came back, I was like, Shay's back. Yeah. And that is how we met, through a mutual individual. And now here we are. I know, right?
It's so funny because I was like, when I was really thinking about it, I was like, how did we get here? But like you mentioned, the Lord does that for me too. It's more so people in proximity, and then He'll start weeding people out and be like, oh, that one. Okay.
Yes, and that's exactly, because it was a bigger proximity. It was a bigger group, and now it's not. So, and that's what it was. You stayed in my spirit. Yeah, and I was just like, oh, what's going on, Jesus? And so then you came back, and that was it.
That was it.
I know, right? And then we had 12-hour prayer. So it's going on 2 years now, because that was the first one. This is the second one. Yeah. So it's going on.
I didn't realize that. It's going on 2 years.
It's going on 2 years. You've been here for a while now, Shay. Yes, you have.
I thought about that. I have been.
Yeah.
It'll be 3 years in June.
Oh, really? It'll be 3 years.
It'll be 3 years I've been at the church in June that I came to Chicago.
That's a whole nother story to share. A whole nother. Okay, so describe yourself a little bit, your background and your relationship with God.
So I have I grew up in church. I think I spent all of but 1 year in church. That was my freshman year in college. My grandma was like, okay, I'll give you a little leeway. And then after that, she was like, okay, no, we're done. We're done with that. So I've always been in the church. I grew up Baptist. And so I've known the Lord. But then, you have those moments. I had a couple of years from 18 to about 24 that I was kind of really lukewarm. So I still knew God, still served, but I was doing and so he called me back around when I was about 25, and we've been going at it real strong from then. So I've always known God. I've always known the principles of God, but to have my own deep personal relationship was around 25 when I really started to dive in, and he really started to be like, okay, it's us. It's really, really
you
us.
and him.
It was me
rocking all together.
Hard. For a few years, it was literally just me and him.
Man, it's so amazing because I always say to God, like, man, I wish I would have known you or had a relationship with you or been, saved and serving him and all of that when I was in my 20s. You know what I mean? Or younger age than that, and I know that my life would have been so much different, but it was supposed to happen how it was supposed to happen and have my journey. But I always love to hear stories and, testimonies of women who have known God when they were in their 20s and all that, because that's when you need them. Teens, young adult.
I'm thankful for, and I listen to people who didn't grow up in church, and I know their story's a lot different than mine. But I also think that it paralleled a lot, because even though I was in church, it was still sometimes I was like, because you growing up, a lot of your faith is based off your parents, what they know of God, and your leaders of what they told you about God. And so it was in my 20s that I really started to see him. So a lot of people say, I wish it was like, but my early teens, I was like, well, I was sheltered by my grandparents. And so it was about 25 that I really, really needed help. And he had to step in. But I grew up, I danced in church, I served, usher, all the things, everything that you can almost think of other than sound and music and lights. I did.
You was in the choir?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in the praise team. I was in the choir as young when I was younger, and then when I went to my last church before coming here, I was on a praise team. So I've done
everything, lot. Been there, done that. Okay, all right. Okay, so share a story of you overcoming, winning, or getting the victory.
Whew, how many? But I think the one I want, and we've talked about it, is the recent one.
Yes.
The last year has been really hard, has been extremely hard for me. It's been one of the hardest years of my life. And I never thought that I would have to go through it. I went through a season of God literally taking me to the place that I feared of being. Like, I never thought that I would be homeless. I was homeless during this last year. I had to sleep in my car at one point, and I was like, Lord, how did we get here? How did we end up here? What transpired to get us to this place? And so it was really difficult. I had to see things a lot differently. I had to see people in a different light and facet that I never thought I would have to see or experience. Because you hear testimonies of like, oh, I did this and God brought me from here. But it's a different story to be in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
when it's your story.
And it's yours. And it's not like, oh, somebody's walking with you. No, you're walking it by yourself. And so I would say that has been my biggest thing that I've overcome. Just seeing God in a way that I've never thought that I needed to see him in. And it's one thing, to pray, God, let me see you in a different way and different facets. But I didn't know I would have to see him as truly a provider. Like, I've seen him, but to see him on another level, being like, Lord, I don't have nowhere to stay. Now what we go do? But God is faithful. He has carried me through that, and I can honestly say that he sustained me through it, and he gave me the victory in it when I didn't think it was going to happen.
Right. So let's talk about time frame. This started happening when?
Honestly, around this time last year.
So 1 year, full circle.
Yeah,
full circle.
To be honest, as you mentioned, I was traveling. I had a contract with a really big company that I was super excited about doing it. I got it at the beginning of 2024, and so for February to around April this time, I was traveling. Like I was in Florida, I was in Texas, I was in Atlanta. Every weekend I would be gone. For about 6 to 7 weeks straight, I was gone. And I was doing very big events. And I was super excited. It was really good for my business. I had connected with some wonderful people. And I was like, okay, God, we here, we doing it. And then I came back and it was like, oh, really quickly, it went from I was on a really big high, and then my car started messing up, and then I had to find somewhere to live because the place that I was at, they were making some changes. And so I was like, okay. So I was seeking the Lord. Okay, Lord, like business has slowed down. What we gonna do? What's the next step? You got me that, so I know you can do it. What's the next thing? And he got real quiet on me, and I was like, oh. So I want to say someone came to me, just to kind of give you the backstory. Someone came to me and was like, well, this is what the Lord shared with me. And I was like, let me pray about that.
Right.
I'm very big on, even if you share, I have to take it back to God to hear what he's saying. And so around June, I had to make a decision like where I was going to live. And it was really coming up like June, July. I was like, oh, it's real getting tight here, Jesus. It's getting real tight.
So let's give a little backstory. You were riding high, had all these contracts, traveling here, traveling there, doing really well, all of that, right? So then you come home and like contract stop. The bigger contract stop.
I still had clients, but the bigger contracts were what was taking me over. And so now I'm like, okay, God, what's the next one? Because you told me it was coming. You had already promised it was coming, but now it's like, where is it?
Yeah.
And I don't see it. I don't see it. And a couple of my clients had started falling off, and I was like, okay, what we doing? We can't be out here by ourselves, because I live essentially in Chicago by myself, no family or anything like that. What we gonna do?
What we going?
That was literally my conversation with God every time I would pray. What we gonna do? And so I was still in that thing, like I was maintaining, but I wasn't able to see the overflow. I wasn't able to see a place where I can build and all of that. And so that was around this time where, like, May, okay, we still have some funds, we still have some things. June, tight. July, okay, tighter.
I know, right? It's like right, choke.
And so August, it was like, okay, you have 3 weeks. What you gonna do?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Car messing up.
At this point, I don't even have a car.
Right.
I don't even have a car. My car went completely out. So a lot of it was like me taking Ubers and Lyfts to get to the places that I need to get in. I did have friends at the time that were helping me get to different places. And so I was still like, okay, God, we can maneuver. And that was the thing that I think he was trying to break out of me, because I'm always like, I can figure something out.
I'm gonna do this. I know what I got to do.
I got it.
Yeah.
And so right at the end of August, it was, I believe that's Labor Day. The holiday was coming up, and I had to move. And I can laugh at it now. It wasn't funny then.
I know.
It was not funny. The week that I had to move, I had spoke with the person that came to me and was like, hey, God told me, extend this offer to you. And it took me a while to accept, because I was like, Lord, this is a big step. I really don't know this person like that, but I don't have nothing else to do. So I said yes. The week we had several conversations. Everything was going good. We were fine. 2 days before I had to move, because I had to move out on a Wednesday. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start moving some of my stuff, because I had rented a car. I'm gonna start moving some of my stuff to the place. Everything was fine. Everything was good until I got to the place, and then I was presented with this. If we're gonna be transparent, we're gonna be transparent.
Yeah, girl, yes, yeah.
Presented with a contract that I had no foresight of,
and not a contract that was good for you.
Yeah.
And
as I expressed, it wasn't the contract, it was the manner in which I was given to it, because it was hey, as friends, and so I was taken aback in that moment. And I was just like, okay, God, we have to think on some things, because, this is a little crazy.
Yeah.
Lack of a better term, crazy. And so I was like, let me just think about it. Let me take a step back. And now this is 2 days before I have to move out. the next day, I was like, okay, God, I don't have any other options. Let me just ask a few questions and then we'll just go with it. I'll roll with it. I don't know what you're doing in it, but okay. So I reached out, was like, hey, I just have a couple of questions in it. And then it went from, well, no. The answer was no.
But they said they had heard from God, right? They said that the Lord was like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to be careful with all that.
That's one lesson I learned. Because and to give you history about that, it wasn't a one-time offer. It was over months. You kept saying to me, God said this, God told me this. And I'm very big on when God reveals something, I don't really share those type of things, outside of my circle, which is only maybe 2 or 3 people. But this person was sharing it to everybody within our larger friend group. Okay. So it wasn't me sharing it. You were telling other people too that this is what God told you. And so it was very shocking to me when then you come back and you say, well, no, you can't move in. Knowing I didn't have anywhere to go, knowing that I based everything off of this. And so in that moment, I was like, oh, this is what we're going to do. And I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I just said, okay. Not knowing nothing. Okay. And I said that to him. I said, I'm not going to convince you to do anything. And I took the words that were given to me. I took all the stuff that was given to me, and I just sat there. And I was like, okay, God, we got to move tomorrow, and we don't have anywhere to go. And even in that, I didn't get upset. I didn't get angry with God. I was just like, okay, what were we going to do next? And it went from that to somebody else saying, oh, well, I can help you. I was like, I didn't ask. I just was venting. And they were like, well, I can help you. I was like, are you sure? And they were like, yeah, I can help. I was like, you know the situation. You know all this. And that still didn't happen. And I literally remember sitting on the floor, just sitting there like, okay, God, I have nowhere to go.
The floor of where?
The place that I was moving out of.
Okay.
The
okay.
place that I was moving out of. And I was just like, okay. And I remember calling my grandmother and calling my friends back home. And they was like, Lachyi, what are you going to do? I could not be phased in that moment. I could not fall into my emotions in that moment because I would have fell apart. And I was just like, okay, we're going to figure it out. And so Friday comes the day that I have to move out. I'm literally just like, okay, God, I'm packing my stuff. And luckily one of my friends was like, she had a basement. She was like, I didn't tell her what was going on. I was just like, hey, can I just put some stuff in your basement? She was like, sure, no problem. She didn't ask me, she knew the whole situation, didn't ask me any questions. I was like, okay. And I love how God did it because she wasn't actually supposed to be home that day. She had a family reunion that she was going to, but God stopped her because she had to do something, so she was home. Okay. So I was like, okay, that's it. All right, I'm gonna put this stuff in the basement. This other person is still saying they're gonna help me. You're coming up with a plan, all this stuff. Time is ticking. Time is ticking at this point. It's like 6:00. And luckily the guy didn't put a limit on when I needed to be out. So I was like, okay. So I packed up everything. The car that I told you I rented, put everything in there, and I was waiting for the person to give me instructions on what to do next. Those instructions never came. And I remember sitting in the car, it was like 9, 10 o'clock. I called them. They had something to do. They were like, oh, I'm wrapping up. We'll be done in a little bit. Okay.
Now, this is the person that you were supposed to originally move in with.
No, this is a different person.
Different person. Okay.
A friend.
Okay.
That was going to help me through this. And so I'm like, okay, I don't want to inconvenience you because you did have something to do. I'll just wait. 9 o'clock comes, 10 o'clock comes, 11 o'clock comes, and I'm just sitting in the car. 12 o'clock comes and I'm just sitting in the car and I'm like, okay, when is this going to be wrapped up? And so I remember 1 o'clock, and one of my friends that lives on the East Coast, which is an hour behind me, I texted him like, hey, I don't know where they are. I don't think they're going to come through. And I remember she calling me. She was like, Lachyi, are you okay? Where are you? And I was like, I parked the car. I don't have any words for you. I don't have any words for you. And she was like, I just want to make sure you're safe. You're in a safe place. I said, I am for right now. I'm fine. And this is when I knew the Holy Spirit was like kicking in, because at first I was like, where am I going to go? Because I can't go to the city and just sit on the street. That's not safe. I lived in the suburbs at the time. I was like, even being out here just sitting out doesn't make sense. And the Holy Spirit was like, go to the gas station, loves because it's a trucker stop. Most people are going to park there. They're going to rest and all this stuff. So that's where I went.
Okay.
And I was just sitting there and I was like, okay, Lord, this is real. It's back to just me and you. It is literally back to just me and you. And the next morning, it still didn't dawn on me. I think it still didn't dawn on me that you slept in your car last night. You slept in this car and you literally are waking up to nowhere to go. What's going to happen? And so I remember waking up and I was just, at that point, it hit me. And I just started crying. And I was like, okay, God, what are we going to do? Because at this point, I don't have anybody else. I only truly have you at this point. And the person called me and was like, well, good morning.
I know. I'm sorry. Oh, bless you. I know this is wait, God-based and God-ordained YouTube channel, but what now? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Okay.
I was like, good morning. Oh, okay. And in that moment, I just bust out crying. And they were like, well, why are you crying?
My God.
I was like, why am I crying? At that moment, Jesus left a little bit. Jesus
He was like, let me put you on the shelf for a minute, Lord. Let me put you on the shelf.
And I was just like, what do you mean? I slept in my car. And I remember they just started yelling at me. And I was like, Jesus, this is what we're really going to do. And they were like, you didn't think about me. You didn't think about what I was going through. This is what happened. And I'm like, I'm sitting here like, I slept in my car, but I literally have woken and have nowhere to go. And you also take into account that my job, I've been telling you, things have been tight. So I remember just sitting there like, oh God, this is what you mean. That people are really fickle. People are funny. People are people.
Yeah.
And so I remember going to the lakefront because that's my place where I went with God. That's the place that I can go and just like
the water.
That's my heart. Like that's my heart. That's my place where me and God talk. Even back home, I would get up at 3 o'clock and go to the beach and sit on the water and watch the sunrise. And that was my time with God. So I went there and I was just sitting in the park and I was like, okay, God, this has to be you. Everything from this moment forward has to be you because I can't do anything. And you hear people say when you get to your end, God steps in. That was my end. That was legit my end because I didn't know how I was going to eat. I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know what I was going to do the next day because this is Saturday now. And I'm like, well, what are we going to do? Like I have been saying that, but literally this was the end of me. And I remember they called me back and they were still berating me like, I'll help, but just being nasty. And I sent the text message like, don't worry about it. I will figure it out. And that's when God, the Holy Spirit, really stepped in. And he started to show me the provision that he made in this. My birthday was that month before in July. Somebody gave me a birthday card the week before all of this happened. And I was like, I seen you all this time and you're just giving me, not being rude about it. I was like, oh, okay. In that card, they gave me a Panera gift card. And the Holy Spirit kept telling me not to use it. Not to use it, not to do anything with it. And I just kept putting it in my wallet, didn't think about it. He was like, you have a way to eat. Here's a gift card that I gave you. I was like, you know what, Lord? And I was like, well, how am I going to take a shower? Because mind you, all my friends were occupied. The other friends were occupied. And he was like, Loves has a way for you to take a shower. I've given you funds. I think like the week before somebody had paid me or done something and I just held it. And so I was able to take a shower. I had all my clothes in the car. I had stuff I needed in the car. So I went back there, took a shower that day, went to Panera, stayed there for a little bit, and just stood by the water. And I had to sleep in the car another night. And he was like, just go to church. Just go to church. I went back, took a shower, got dressed for church because we have 3 services. Right. We have 3 services. So this is the first time I had ever been to 7:30 service. Went to 7:30 service and my friends were there. And I had told my friend that I left her stuff and I was like, hey, could I come back and bring? She was like, you need to bring some more stuff back to the house. I was like, yeah. She was like, okay, yeah, I'll be home at this time. Fine. And I remember going to the park and just staying there until it was time for me to take the stuff. And I called her and she was like, Lachyi. I was like, do you mind if I just stay on your couch? She was like, it's fine. She said, I figured something was up when you came to church. And so by the grace of God, she allowed me to stay with her, and I ended up staying there for 3 months. And in that, I've seen a lot of just God doing things, because she wasn't actually supposed to be home that weekend at all. She was supposed to be at an event, but God told her not to go to the she chose not to go to the event. So even in that, God still made provision through other means for me. And so yeah. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it was still bad.
Yeah.
But I saw God in every step of that journey, those 3 months that I was with her. Every step I saw God.
So that's 3 months. So fast forward to when I see you. So I'm like, wait, what's happening? What's going on? Because again, you had been on me and I had not seen you, or we had been missing each other. So you was on me. And I was like, what is going on? What is going on? So then I see you, but I still don't get a chance to like, hey Shay. But then it was that one day that I did see you, and I was like, girl, come here.
Yeah.
And I hugged you, and I was like, my God, okay, what's happening? You know, we didn't talk about it then, but I was like, you was heavy on me, and when I saw you, I was like, nope, I gotta, you know. So then I asked you a question, and disclaimer, but and I was just like, wait, what? And your face, girl, that thing was so funny because I asked her a question about an individual. She was like, what? And I was like, oh, okay.
And it's so funny because when you said that, that wasn't the first time people had asked me that question.
Right. Yeah.
But it was the first time I dropped, because I've always lived in the fact of like, just because something didn't work out between me and someone else, it was no one else's business. And I'm always a firm believer of covering people even if they leave you uncovered. And I think that comes back from being in the church for so long and seeing so much. That was one thing God has always taught me, is even if someone uncovers you, even if someone does something to you, you don't have to uncover them. I will handle that. And I've seen him honor that. And so it wasn't the first time I got that question. I just think in that moment, it was like, I can drop this and be like,
yeah. Because wait, here's the thing. God had already told me about them. So that's why I was just like, okay. But again, I was just like, hey, where? And I just have to say, because, like you say, you never uncover people. You never, you never do anything like that. But it was just the face, because I have the faces.
Yeah.
You gonna tell. You gonna, I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah.
But you was like, what? And I said, oh, okay. Well, we gonna need to talk. And then we talked. Yeah. And I was like, what?
And I love the fact that you were like, Lachyi, you don't gotta, just what happened?
Yeah, because she was like, okay, well, Deidre. I was like, girl, yeah, this ain't this. This is not that. You ain't even got to do, because she was still trying to be herself. Yeah. Like, I'm not that. You girl, tell me, because this is who I am. This is what I do. But you go tell me, it's all right. I know your heart. Yeah. But this is dire times. This is,
This was very dire time, because me and you had talked. I was still in a place of like, I rented an Airbnb, and that was kind of going up in the air. And I was getting back on my feet, but I was still trying to figure out what the Lord wanted me to do. And so when you came, I was like, okay, Lord, it's time to let this go. Because at this point, I was still showing up to church. I was still serving. I was still doing other things, and people didn't know. No one knew, other than a couple of people around me. I was still hugging people. I was still smiling. I was still like being polite, being, when they asked.
Then I would see you, and I was like, no, look, what is going? You had that, but I could see through the mask.
Yeah, I had the mask, the church mask.
Oh yeah, I know about that. Ugh, yeah.
It would.
Hey,
how
and then
you? And not knowing that I'm going back trying to figure out what I'm gonna do.
Go to the car and be bawling.
Yeah. Coming to church and crying, and getting there and hugging everybody, and being like, and then having to go back and be like, I don't know what this is, Lord. I don't know why we're here. And in that season, it taught me grace for people. It taught me a lot of grace for people, because you don't know. You do not know. And in that time, a lot of people made comments and didn't know what I was going through. Even once I came out of that, they made comments about that season, and they didn't know. They didn't know how much energy it took me to just get into the building. They didn't know how much energy it took me just to look put together. They didn't know. And so it taught me grace and to, allow the Holy Spirit to really season your words and allow him to show you the words to speak to people because you don't know what's happening. And when we had that conversation, I was like, oh, I can let this go. I can let this mask go and I can share the truth about what's going on. And it helped me so much to be able to sit here and share the truth with other people about what happened.
Yeah. And I remember I was just on the phone because we had Android user here.
We couldn't FaceTime.
We were no FaceTime, whatever. But we were on whatever Duo or whatever it was that we were on, Zoom, whatever. And I was just like, my face, everything about me, I'm just listening, and I'm just like, wait a minute, what? Asking all these questions, is looking like what, because again, a lot of people don't look like what they're going through or what they've been through. You know what I mean? So that's why I was just like, I knew it was something, but to the dynamic of, being homeless, living in a car, just the Lord telling you, now you can't go back to your grandmama's house. You can't go back home. You can't do any of that. You know what I mean? So I was just like, well, Shay, what and I'm all like, well, Shay, what you gonna do? And he was like, I don't know. The Lord gonna, still trusting, still believing, all of that. So fast forward to now, because it's been almost 1 year. It has been 1 year.
It has been, the start of it, yes, has been almost 1 year. I think.
Yeah.
Just to think about it.
That's why I'm like, it hasn't even been a year. Like full circle. So after you and I had our conversation, I have been asking the Lord about something. I was like, okay, God, I just need to do this, and you need to tell me who to do it. Da 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 da. And he was quiet. He never said anything. I'm like, but Lord, usually you'll be like da da da. So then after you and I had the conversation, I was like, oh, okay, Jesus, right? So it happened, and then I saw that you posted your story on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, Lord, and he was like, yeah, she had to share her story.
Yeah.
She had to share her story. And that's all he kept saying. She had to share her story. She had to tell her story. I was like, okay, Lord, even while I'm watching it, I'm like, ooh, okay, God, okay. And then, I forgot when that was, but it was less than a year because we full circle now.
Yeah, it was the beginning of this year.
Okay, so I'm like, okay. And then, I would still see you, this and that. So fast forward to now.
So now, just to kind of give backstory, he gave me a place to stay. He actually took me back to where I was staying. He was like, because I was like, Lord, what am I gonna do? He said, reach back out to him. I'm going to touch his heart. Everything's gonna be fine. So I was able to go back. And now God has blessed me with great opportunities. He has given me opportunity to work for a company. And it's funny because I kind of parallel work with them before. And then the person that gave me the contract last year recommended me.
Because your name came up,
right?
My
name came up.
Your name came up.
My name came up. And it was so funny because I got the email just sitting in the bed. And I was like, wait, what? I haven't heard from this person in months. And she recommended me to do some administrative work for the CEO, and I can say it for My Cares.
Okay. Because I wasn't going to be like, well, say it who. Yeah. But, okay.
And so literally the process in that, like when I tell you God stopped the process for me, they were in final interviews. And my name came up, and she was like, well, we have to get her in and do it. They had already picked 2 candidates that they were going to select between. And then the consultant that was doing the interview was like, no, I have to get you in front of her. And I remember it took a whole week because she missed the interview or this happened and that happened. And when we talked, it was instantly a God thing. I was like, God, you did it strategically for this. And then it went kind of full steam after that. Did an in-person interview, and she was like, I already know which way I want to go, and I got the position. And so I was like, God, you took me through all of that whole year for purpose and this moment. And so many things have stemmed from that. And it's only been like 2 weeks. So many things have stemmed from that. And I've got to, go back to other projects that I have worked at. Some of my clients came back that, left last year. and things are still like God is still revealing. Like Lachyi, I had to take you through that season to break down and tear down so much and separate you for so much for this moment right here to walk in purpose and to share and do everything I've called you to do.
So this is April. Like we still in April, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
April.
Oh God. So this is April. So this is when you called me. This when it all happened. Okay. So prior to this is April. So it had to be like in January, right? Or whenever. Yeah, it had to be like in January, February. He was like having to share a story, having to share a story, having to do it, and I was just like, okay, Jesus, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Never did it, and then I was like, all right, because so then one Friday, I'm in the house and I'm doing something, but I never put my ringer back on. Like after I leave class, so and then I look at my phone and I'm like, oh my God, okay, Jesus, okay, okay. So then I call you back, and girl, you started telling me your story again and the goodness and greatness of God. And I just remember like being so full when you was telling me, how it went and everything. And I just started bawling.
You did.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna make me cry. I was like, oh gosh.
Oh my God. I just started bawling. Oh my goodness. I couldn't I want to cry now because I was just like, oh my God, look at what you have done.
Yes.
Full circle.
Full circle. And we hear in one of the scriptures that we say all the time in church is Ephesians 3:20, exceedingly abundant above all that you can ask or even think of.
Yeah.
And when I said God blew my mind in that, I was like, I couldn't even believe what he did. When she started talking to me and she was like, I'm going to go with you, it was still that part of me that was like, God, is this really going to happen? Because through this whole year, I've heard so many people say, I'm going to help you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And they did not come through. And so it had got me to a place of like, God, I can't trust anybody's word but yours. I can't trust anybody's actions but yours. I can't trust anybody's character but yours. And so when it started to happen, I was like, okay, God, we're here. It's really happening. It's really doing it. And so it blew my mind. It blew my mind what he did for me. It blew my mind the opportunity and the door that he opened for me. It blew my mind the how quickly and swiftly he allowed immediately that it happened. And we hear that, but then to experience it,
right?
It's like it's another level of like, oh wait, am I ready?
Yeah.
But it was like, God, I would be ready because you brought it to me. I am ready because you brought it to me.
And so within that conversation and him just swooping in and I'm just bawling. I'm just crying. I'm so happy for him. Just so he started speaking. He started speaking as I'm crying. And I'm just like, okay, God, I can't even hardly breathe. And I was like, yeah. So I started telling you what he was saying. And I was just like, my God. It was just, it was mind blowing. Like if it's mind blowing for you, you know what I mean? If it's mind blowing for me, your wig is back, right? So I'm just like, look at how you did. And he kept saying, because she shared her story. Her story. So again, I always say, I don't care if it's just one person, it don't matter. You know what I mean? Somebody is going to hear this and it's going to help them.
Yeah.
So here you are, Shay.
Here I am.
Here you are.
I would have never thought.
I know, right? Less than a year, almost a year, whatever the case may be. And it's full circle moment. The blessings of the Lord make us rich and we add no sorrow to it. Yeah. And just to see like the manifestation of God and the move of God and how he ordains and puts things together. I know for me, that's why I was so like full because I remember sitting on this same couch, like talking to you and listening to you and being like, oh my goodness, just step by, all of that. So yeah, thank you for sharing your story with me. And then that's another thing. I don't take it lightly how God moves with me, when he tells me to talk with people, hug people, whatever the case may be. But then I also say I don't take it lightly when people share, you know what I mean? Because they don't have to. And they, so I thank God that he entrusts me enough that people, are able to do that. So of course I'm excited and happy for you because it's about to be big. It's about to blow up.
And I am so thankful. And I just have to say thank you for even like caring, because sometimes I've learned in this walk that God can give you somebody, put somebody in your spirit, and that doesn't mean you have to carry them. You don't have to. And I'm thankful for that because the moments that God brought us together, it gave me strength to keep going, because it was really moments I wanted to be like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
But for him to be like, I still got you on somebody's heart. It's still somebody praying for you. It's still somebody carrying you when you can't carry yourself. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for those moments, the conversations, because it really did give me strength to be like, all right, somebody heard me. And not to say I didn't have people.
Right. Yeah.
But to have someone else be like, okay, I got you. And you can drop the mask. You can drop this. And then that was really helpful in my walk to be like, be human for this
Be
moment.
human. Yeah.
Be human for this moment. Express the feelings, but then allow God's strength to come in at the end of that.
So one thing I know that I was saying to you was like, because you would be like, yeah, Deidre, I know that I hear God, and I ran, and I was like, I bet you hear him now, don't you?
Let me tell you something. Ain't nobody at this point in our life, like, I've always heard God.
Yeah.
He's given it to dreams. He's always spoken to me, but I think just life circumstances, like things that I've dealt with from, people around me and life things. I haven't had the easy life. It was a lot of trauma, and so I think that also kept me second guessing God. But let me tell you now,
maybe. And then that was another thing. I was like, Lord, you better come through here. You was like, I'm going into those rooms and I'm gonna know who I am. And I was like, yes.
You don't, at this place in my life, you don't ever gotta think that I question God. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care how nobody else feel about it. I know what God said, and I know what He tells me. I know how He shows things to me. I know how He speaks to me. And that was another thing I learned. Don't ever doubt what you see, hear, or sense from God. Don't doubt it. Because in those moments, a lot of times I doubt it, and people use that against me. Like, oh, you're down, so I can kind of swoop in. And now it's like, oh, I don't care who you say you are. I don't care what you say. If the Lord, I'm good.
Yeah. And I was so excited about that. That was that victory for me to be like, yes, Shay, you better, because you know him. He's been talking to you forever and all of that. And it's just, but that's something that we have to learn and we have to go through. So yay, this is your victory. This is your win. And it's just gonna keep going and getting greater.
And that's what I'm standing on. I'm standing on that this is just the beginning of that.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of victories. God has done a lot of things for me, but this, I'm like, okay. And it's just like you said, it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning of the door of the journey that He has me on. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. So, and this is why you're here. So, yay. Let me see. What's a favorite scripture that you stand on, huh?
So, the one that is two. So one of them is, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor have I seen his son beg for bread. And that's the one I had to stand on the most. And the other one was Hebrews 13:5, the end part, that He would never leave us nor forsake us. Because I had to continue to say that to myself when it felt like everybody was going away, when it felt like people weren't holding their promises, when it felt like He was silent. I just had to keep telling myself, Lachyi, He's not going to forsake you. He said in His word, He's not going to forsake you. He's not going to leave you. So this is not going to be the thing that causes Him to walk away.
Yeah, that first scripture is mine. He's been telling me that, and just wait on Him. So yeah, that I do know. What would you say to other women that are coming out of, or are in the same situation and circumstances you've been through?
God is faithful. And it may not feel that way in the moment, and it may feel like He is far. It may feel like He's silent, but He is faithful. And I know it's hard to grasp that sometimes in the midst of the storm, because it's like, why am I going through the storm then, God? Why am I going through this? But He's faithful enough to carry you through it. He's faithful enough to stand with you when nobody else is around. He is faithful enough to get down in that thing with you. And He may not be talking, but you can rest assured that He's in it with you. And I think that's sometimes the part that we forget to say is like, He may not talk all the time in the storm.
Oh yeah. But
he may be silent. You may think He's gone, but I can tell you He is faithful enough to be in it with you. And if you just stand on that, if you don't think of nothing else, just know He's faithful enough to be in it with you.
And that He'll never leave you.
He's not going to leave you. He's not. That's not His character.
So what would you say to your younger self?
It was 3 things that I thought about. Is one, is that you win. 2, it does not break you. And 3 is that you got it. Those are the things I needed to tell. My younger self needed to know.
Well, my last question was, would you listen? And of course, you would listen to yourself, because when we're younger, we be like, but yeah, but now we older. So, oh my goodness. Lachyi Bland, thank you so very much for sharing your story. Yeah. Complete circle. Full circle moment. So I thank you so much for, coming here and sharing your story. Just blessing whoever is going to bless, and just blessing me, because this has been amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to share my story.
Absolutely, because this is not the end of it. You do know
it's
that.
Not.
Okay.
And I'm so excited about it. This is just the beginning, and I'm looking forward to it. I know a long time ago I wouldn't have. Because I was like, people don't need to know. I'm looking forward to it.
So, all right. Well, thank you also very much for watching. Yay! Standing Tall on Tuesday. And I'll be back. Again, this is God Ordained YouTube channel. So he gave me her. I don't know who else I'm supposed to interview. I don't know who else is supposed to share their stories. But he'll give it to me again. And that's when I'll be back. So like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.